Hello dear students, welcome you back for lecture number 6 on the topic electric potential and capacitance. So today we are going to study second part of our topic, that is regarding the capacitance. So basically capacitor is an electronic device which is going to store electrical energy. Then you might be confused between a capacitor and battery, because battery also does almost the same thing. In battery the chemical energy gets converted into electrical energy. Initially that energy is stored, and even the capacitor is doing almost same thing. So as we go deep into the subject, we are going to we'll try to differentiate how battery is different from capacitors. Okay, first we'll focus totally on the capacitor. Now remember, capacitor is also almost in all the electronic circuit or in all the electronic chip you are going to find this capacitor. It is most widely used electronic device. Okay, in every gadget or in every electronic circuit you are going to see this. Not every, but most of the circuits. Clear? So capacitor is the device which is going to store electrical energy. Now remember what is the requirement of capacitor when we already have a battery with us. Now remember, some electronic gadgets like television, maybe washing machine, maybe refrigerator, or maybe a flash of the camera or the mobile phone itself, they require lot of energy. To initiate that process we required lot of energy, right? Maybe in terms of 25 ampere to 45 ampere, or sometimes maybe up to 50 ampere. Now this current is huge compared to the current what we get from the battery, because battery gives you constant supply of electrical energy. Maybe battery gives maximum of 10 amperes only, right? So there are some things, some electronic device which require lot of energy to initiate them, right? You know, in already you are studied in first year that coefficient of static friction will be maximum compared to the kinetic friction, then compared to the sliding friction, then to the rolling friction, right? So to start anything we need to spend lot of energy, right? Clear? So to start any electronic gadgets, most of the electrical gadgets, not electronic, most of the electrical gadgets, we require lot of energy, and unfortunately our battery cannot give that much of energy. So we need such a device which is going to store lot amount of energy, and whenever we require we are going to discharge it. So capacitor does almost same thing. So that only difference between a battery and capacitor, you can here find it out that battery is going to give you minimum supply of energy or constant supply of energy, whereas capacitor will give you bulk of energy at once and it will discharge. Clear? So step by step we are going to study, okay, how battery is totally different from capacitor, how capacitor is totally independent of the battery. Right now you understand that capacitor is a device which stores electrical energy. Okay, so electrical devices which requires current of 25 ampere to 45 ampere, to initiate them, to initiate such high current, we require capacitor. Again, it is one of the most widely used electronic device in almost all of the electrical circuits, right? Now students, you can imagine this thing like if I have a dam, if I have constructed a dam. See here, I'm just trying to differentiate you capacitor with the battery. The only difference is the way they discharge. That's the only big difference here. Most of the almost all the things are same, because battery also stores the energy and it gives the energy. But how they discharge, that is most important. So imagine I have a dam, okay, and dam is stored with lot of water. Okay, there is a big river there. Now you see here, the dams are been having some doors, right? So as per my requirement, I can open 1 door, 2 door, 3 door, 4 door, or maybe 5 door, or maybe all the doors, right? So once I open the door, I am going to get a constant flow of water from the dams, right? So this work is done by the battery. You can imagine that door opening of the battery is door opening of the dams is resembling to the battery. So I am getting a constant flow of water here. But unfortunately, if the dam itself collapses, see here, initially the water is been stored, right? So even battery is storing the energy as well as capacitor is storing the energy. But how they are discharging, that is most important. So water is giving initially constant flow, that work is done by the battery. But unfortunately, if the dam collapses, so what will happen? Whatever stored water you had, that is going to break it out. Yes or no? All the water is going to come out with a lot of potential energy, right? Clear? So this work done by the capacitor. So how you can differentiate it, that capacitor will give you a huge amount of energy, whereas battery is going to give you constant or steady flow of the energy. To initiate some electrical device which requires high current, we require capacitor. Clear? Are you understanding? Okay. Now again capacitor converts electrical, again we store energy, and as per our requirement we use that electrical energy. Now the ability to store the charges, the ability sorry, the ability to store the electrical charges is known as capacitance. So the ability to store the charges is known as capacitance, that is denoted by capital C. So capital C is given by Q upon V, where Q is number of charges and V is the potential or the potential energy of the charges. So to ability to store the charges is known as what? Capacitance. It is a property. Just like we have resistance. Resistance is what? Ability to oppose the flow of the current is known as resistance. Similarly, capacitance is nothing but it is the property of the capacitor to store the charges. So, so this capacitance depends upon Q by V. Clear? Are you understanding, students? Quite easy to understand, right? See, it is directly proportional. Q is directly proportional to Q and inversely proportional to V. How? See here, more the number of charges, more you can store the charges, and if less is the potential, I can supply more of the charges. Yes or no? See here, if potential is high, I need to spend lot of amount of work, right? If potential is less, I can spend. See here, just for an example, suppose this is one capacitor, okay, and I have some charges here, some n number of charges. I can easily put this charges, because more number of charges, more capacitance I am going to get. But if the potential of this charge body is very high, then I need to spend lot of amount of energy to do this work, right? So as a result, if the potential is less, I can easily increase its capacitance. Are you understanding? So it directly depends upon the number of charges. Quite easy to understand. More number of charges I can store, more the capacitance will be. Less the potential, more the capacitance will be. Clear? So from this you can also get its SI unit. So this will be Coulomb per volt. Coulomb per volt, or the standard unit is Farad. But Farad is a very huge unit. Okay, so usually whatever capacitance we get, we always show in terms of millifarad or microfarad, or sometimes in picofarad also. Clear? Okay. Now, students, I hope you are able to differentiate between the capacitance and the battery. Okay, though they look almost similar, though they function in the same way, the only difference is how they discharge the charges. That is most important thing here. Clear? Okay. Now observe this thing, C equals to Q by V. Now you can compare this formula with the resistance, R equals to V by R, V by I. Okay. Now you observe that this capacitance is independent of Q and V. Okay, capacitance is independent of Q and V. Just like this resistance, V was changing simultaneously, I was also changing. As a result, R was always remaining constant. So this capacitance does not depend upon Q and V, because if Q increases, V decreases, Q increases, V decreases. As a result, this value remains always constant. So if this capacitance is not depending upon Q and V, then on what factor does it depend? Just like R was depending upon the dimensions of the material, right? So R was equal to rho L by A. So R was depending upon the resistivity of the material of the wire, length of the conductor, and the cross-sectional area. Similarly, capacitance depends upon the dimensions of the material. Dimensions of the material. Like what are the dimensions? It also depends. Maybe distance. I'll write it here. Distance between the plates. I'll come. What is distance between the plates? Distance between the plates of the capacitor, and it also depends upon the medium. So remember, capacitance is independent of Q and V, whereas capacitance depends upon the medium, the dimensions of the material. Okay, clear? Now we'll just try to understand how actually does the capacitor works. Students, capacitor is basically used for charging and discharging. Capacitor, you can charge it and you can discharge it. Now imagine if I have, and one more important thing of the capacitor is capacitor has a plates. I'll just show it. Okay, so suppose this is one typical capacitor looks like. Basically capacitor is of three types. We can find cylindrical capacitor, we can find parallel plate capacitor, also we can find spherical capacitor. Now suppose capacitor consists of two plates. Okay, initially these plates will be neutral because number of protons are always equal to number of electrons. Just we'll try to understand how actually the capacitor works. So in between this plate there will be one dielectric medium. So already in the previous video we have studied regarding the dielectric medium. These are the non-conductors. Now suppose this capacitor, this is a total capacitor. Any capacitor will consist of two plates sandwiched between one dielectric medium. Correct? One more thing, capacitor also depends upon this dielectric medium. Okay. Now suppose if I connect this plate with one battery of some suitable potential. Clear? Now the direction of the current will be this. This will be the direction of the electric field. As a result, what you are going to find here is, if this is the positive charges, so negative charges will be accumulated here. Negative charges will flow against the direction of the electric current, correct? So these plates will get charged now. Initially the plates were neutral because number of protons were equal to number of electrons. Clear? But once you set up a potential, this plate gets charged. As a result, you are going to find that all the electrons, negative charge, will flow against the direction of the electric current, and all the positive charge will accumulate here. Just like what we have seen in the electric polarization, same thing. Are you understanding? The positive charge will shift on one side and negative charges will shift on the other side, because this is the direction of the current. If this was minus and this was plus, if I would change the polarity, I would see that electrons will be in this direction and protons will be in this direction. Clear? So whatever free moving electrons I have, plus and minus. Clear? So the electrons all they will shift in this direction. Okay, this is the induced electric field and this will be the electric field due to these two charges. Are you understanding? Now what is going to happen here is, we have set this electric potential V. Now this capacitance has stored this much amount of charges. Are you understanding? Now our capacitor is charged. This process is known as charging. So it will charge up to it reaches its saturation point. It is going to it depends upon the medium, what is the cross sectional area and all those things. Clear? So now once I set up the potential, imagine for an example, if the potential is 8 volt, so now there will be a potential difference created between P and Q of 8 volts. Afterwards they will no longer get charged. Okay, by chance if I increase the potential, if the capacity is only to hold 8 volt, then our capacitor may destroy, so it may burst out. Okay, now students, now I can just take out this battery. Just take out this battery and I'll just close this circuit. Now our capacitor is charged. Clear? Now I need to discharge it. So what I'll do, I'll just connect one bulb here or maybe one LED here. If I connect one bulb here. Okay, now initially the bulb is not glowing if the plug key is open. And if I close this key, what is going to happen here is, the bulb will glow. Why bulb will glow? Because these negatively charged electrons, free mobile electrons will flow through this. One electron will go here, one electron will go here, As a result, the capacitor which was initially charged, now it will become discharged. Now this bulb will go unless and until all the free moving electrons have moved towards that plate to attain again neutrality. As a result, now our capacitor becomes discharged. Are you understanding? So this way usually our capacitor works. Initially with the help of battery, same like with your mobile charger, you need to first charge it. Later as you use your mobile phone, it continuously discharges. Once it discharges, again you are going to set up an electric field. Again what will I do? Now it has become discharged, then Now again it will become 0 0 0. Once again I set up an electric field, again it is going to charge. Now this bulb will not glow for 1 day, 2 day continuously, just like what your battery does, where you get a constant supply of the energy. This bulb will glow like for a fraction of second, maybe 1 second, 2 second, maybe a maximum of 1 minute. Okay, why? Because you can analyze the example of the dam. Whatever energy it had stored, it is going to dump in one attempt itself. Clear? As a result, the bulb will glow for very short amount of time. Clear? Okay. So, students, please try to understand. Remember, one more important difference is the battery will have internal resistance. Battery will have internal resistance. Any standard battery will have a potential of I would say 1.6 volt, and it would have maximum of 1.15 resistance. But once I compare this internal resistance of the capacitors, it will be of 0.00, maybe 0.15 ohms. So as a result, so here the resistance is more, internal resistance of the battery is more compared to the internal resistance of the capacitors. So here current output will be very small, maybe 1 or 2 ampere, 1 or 2 ampere. But if I compare this internal resistance, then current I will get more, maybe in terms of 25 to 35 ampere. Just one example, try to understand. So battery is going to give me constant flow, a steady flow, 1 ampere, 1 ampere, 1 ampere. But this at once it is going to dump all the 25 ampere or maybe 35 ampere of the current, because the internal resistance of the capacitor is much more lower compared to the internal resistance of the battery. Remember this. So internal resistance is more, then opposition will be more, and if opposition is more, then current will be less. When we compare with the internal resistance of the capacitor, the internal resistance is very low. As a result, the current will be very high. Clear? This is one of the most important differences. Also you can also if you take graph taking potential along y-axis and time along x-axis, this is for the battery. And one more graph, if I draw potential versus time, this is time, this is time, this is x-axis, this is origin, this is y-axis. Now suppose any standard battery, it will give you maximum 2 amperes, maximum 2 to 3 ampere, depends. Okay, again it depends. Okay, but on an average 1 or 2 amperes. So if I draw a potential, initially there will be a potential drop once I start the battery. Then for a longer period of time, you are going to find this constant potential. I mean, when I say the constant potential, I am going to get again a constant current. And once the battery is dead, maybe after few months or few years or so, depends upon what kind of battery you are using, the battery suddenly discharges. But if I draw the same graph, potential versus time for the capacitor, this is for the capacitor, this is for the capacitor, then I am going to find that this graph have drastically reduced with the time. It will not come up to here also. Clear? So what you can see from this two graph, this is for the battery and this is for the capacitor, that here for certain amount of time, depends upon what battery you are using, you are always going to find a constant and steady voltage, a constant and steady voltage. But whereas in terms of capacitor, there is no supply of constant potential. At once only it get discharged. Clear? Are you understanding, students? Okay. So now we'll move ahead. So the types of capacitor. So first type we have a spherical capacitor. Our earth itself is one spherical capacitor. Okay, spherical capacitor. Then second one is a parallel plate capacitor, a widely used capacitor. Okay, parallel plate capacitor. And for your syllabus, most of the thing is covered under a parallel plate capacitor. And the last one is cylindrical capacitor. So today we'll study one of the capacitor, and in next class we'll try to study these two topics. Clear? So we have basically three types of capacitor. One is a spherical capacitor, a parallel plate capacitor, and last one is a cylindrical capacitor. Okay, so we'll just try to understand one capacitor then. So in next class I hope you understood the function of the capacitor, how exactly it works, and I hope you are able to differentiate between a battery and the capacitor. So suppose if I have one capacitor which is a spherical, right? So if the charges are evenly distributed, spherical capacitor, clear? So we are going to find the capacitance of the spherical capacitor. This is spherical capacitor, and we are going to find the capacitance of this spherical capacitor. Okay, now you know that capacitance is given by C equals to Q by V. Yes or no? So C will be, you know that V, potential V will be what? 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by V. Suppose it has Q number of charges. So we know that potential of this charge capacitor will be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Q by R, not V. Okay, clear? This is the definition of electric potential, amount of work done by the charge from such a distance. Clear? So I will substitute this value of V in equation 1. So what will I get? Capacitance C equals to Q divided by 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R. Clear? So from this equation I can cut this Q with this Q. So what I'm going to get, C equals to, I'll shift this all denominator to the numerator. So I'm going to get 4 pi epsilon naught into R. So what you are observing here, most important thing is this capacitance depends upon R. R means the distance. Okay, it depends upon the distance. As I told you, it is independent of Q and V. At the end, it depends upon this distance, and mu naught is the medium, where epsilon naught is permittivity of the free space. Okay, fine. Have you understood this? I hope you have followed today's video. Okay, in next class we will study regarding parallel plate capacitor as well as cylindrical capacitor. Okay, thank you.